Aloha, aloha, aloha. It is, what is it? Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Aloha Friday. Good Aloha Friday. We're here. I made it. After the last 2 days of being in bed, I have made it here. Yes. Oh my God, gang. Never, ever, ever do something as stupid as getting 3 vaccines in one day. Because if you get sick, you don't know which the hell it was that caused it. Oh my God. So anyhow, how are you guys doing? I'm also, by the way, Sleuth Mom, when you hear this, I am trying out Crisp for the first time. Okay, we will see how this works with the pups barking, even though I do have enough treats to keep them happy. And also, how are y'all doing? Let me see. Who do I have in chat? I know Kai came in first. Yep, there we go. Kai Mojo, happy to be here. I'm so happy to have them here. Let's see. Actually, let me do it this way. Oh, my God, I just saw Robbie here, too. So we got Kai. So hello, 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 my dear. And I'm so happy you guys remembered today with Friday. I literally was like, wait, it's Friday. I just slept through 2 days. Okay, yeah. And Robbie, love you, my dear. Love you, love you, love you, my dear. Say hi to Michael. Love him too. And Brooklyn and Carol. And okay, moving on. JP. Hey, hey, hey. 100. Yeah. You know what? This was something. I was going to do something on DV today. Because I still want to do the panel thing sometime before the end of October. But this is something I've noticed a lot of people dealing with lately. I've had to deal with this a couple times lately for myself. My mom and I, in fact, had a good discussion about it when I told her what I was going to talk about today. And also it's like, okay, let's try this. Hey, Crystal, a girl. Love you. Mwah. Love you. Oh, I hear the bird. Oh, shoot. I was going to bring the bird in today. I totally forgot to. And Miss Grandma Sherry, everything day by day. I'm feeling better. I really honestly am. I haven't had a fever since 3:00 yesterday. So hopefully I've got it good now. So hopefully I will be ready to go for the whole night. I don't know how long, well, if, and then how long Cantina will last, but we are going to try for it. Hey, Sky Maiden. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Ooh, speaking on the topic here. Okay, I'm moving my family because we've been dealing with another couple trying to... Whoa. That can be mass. Yeah, that is... And for you guys to have to go as far as to moving to get away from it. That yikes, 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 yikes. So I just spent over an hour on the phone with my 75-year-old. Oh my gosh, she lives 2 states. You know, that can, we all love our moms, don't we? We love them, dear. Actually, I have to say, I love my mom right now because she made sure I had dinner the last 2 days. I didn't eat much of it, but she tried. Actually, I still have she made biscuits earlier and I did not eat the one that I had for breakfast yet, but it's here. Ha! Yeah. Ooh, Crystal is roasting. Oh, I want a puppy. Okay, guys, sorry. I know this is not Cantina yet, but how many of you guys have looked at the prices for pumpkins this year? I was over at our, not the grocery store, but our, we call it Logs. It's a CVS. $18.99 for a medium-sized pumpkin. I was like, you're freaking kidding me because I want a pumpkin because I want to get myself, I love pumpkin seeds and I love roasting them. They're so good. So, so good. Burden is here. Hello, our dear Burden. How you doing, my dear? Okay, let me pull up my banner so I know what I'm talking about. Emma, hey there, Emma. You've not looked, I didn't plan on it, but when I went to the doctor, after the doctors, I had to run by the drugstore. And yes, you can have one of these. I don't know if you could hear the dogs. Yeah, this is all you want. You don't care about me. You only care about the treats, huh? Oh, I'm giving you a peek in at what we're going to talk about later. Oh my gosh, how dare I do that? So yeah, I went in there to go pick up some stuff for my mom and I afterwards. And oh my God, I could not. At first I saw pumpkins and it was like $2.99. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I looked, oh yeah, those were the little tiny designer pumpkins. And I was like, I give up. I give up. I'm not meant to have pumpkins this year. So I'm going to keep looking. Maybe they're just high in cost right now. But yeah, $18.99. We do have a couple pumpkin farms that I might try to figure out. I used to take my nieces and stuff there all the time. It was always fun to go do that. So we'll find out. Kaimoji, you have woodwork. Oh, wooden pumpkins. That would be cool. I love decorating. Like I said last week, these are my favorite times of the year. October, November, December. They're so much fun. One thing after another. And I know they can also be rough for people. Okay, we got a lot of mental health issues that pop up during this time of year too. So, can't hear me? Let me know if anyone else is having problems with hearing. I have never used Crisp, and I don't know if I have to change any of my audio settings with it. So, JP, let me know if anyone else is having issues also. You can hear. Okay, I'm going to lower this just a tad so I don't. Okay, let me know if anyone else has problems, though. So, I'm trying this out. Audio is fine. Perfect. And Sleuth has been talking about this program. And since I usually have the pups who feel like they should be running the show, not me, it's like, oh, I want to do a live. Can I do a live, Mom? No, you can't do a live. No. And so I'll cut them out one way or another. So anyhow, here we go. So boundaries. We have talked about boundaries how many times in our Friday series? Boundaries seems to be something that comes up. Oh, is that it, JP? Got it. We talk about it all the time. Okay, how to create our own boundaries, how to follow our own boundaries, how to do all of these things. And yet one of you guys enjoy the pups. That's good to know. And I'm sitting here giving them prize after prize right now. And if I forget and I give the others a prize, you may hear Cassie. Yes. Boundaries, as we get talking about them more and more, and we start putting them into play for our own lives. I don't know about you, but as I started doing this, looking back even more so, this was an issue. What I started realizing very quickly is I started recognizing what a boundary was, which makes sense. If you're putting them in play in your life, you're understanding how important they are and that it's something we all need to have. But then all of a sudden, your friends who understand boundaries, or maybe those who don't understand boundaries themselves, start putting boundaries into play. And they're coming to you saying and making sure you realize, hey, no, these are my boundaries. And you're like, well, I have my boundaries. And you get into this thing about, okay, whoa. Where do boundaries, how do they fit together? Okay, how do boundaries fit together? Because it's hard. Okay, we get into this thing where we're like, okay, people should respect our boundaries, but we should also be respecting their boundaries. But sometimes our boundaries do not mesh. Well, sometimes because of other reasons, we see life differently than the person who's put their own boundary in place, and we may not think that it's a good boundary for them. I've done that many, many times where I've sat there and I've been like, well, why are they creating that boundary? It makes no sense. It's stupid. It's holding them back, or it's doing this, or it's doing that. And it really frustrates me. And I find out if I sit back, am I really respecting their right to have their own boundary? Because we all have rights to our own boundaries. Okay, yes, boundaries, there's such a thing as boundaries that are done for us to be stronger, more mentally healthy people. And then there are boundaries that actually are negative, holding us back, things like that. Okay, some people will use the word boundary as a way to hide, for example. I've had many people who will do that. They're like, oh no, I'm not gonna go out with everyone every week or anything because I just don't feel like it. And that's my boundary. And I'm like, wait, you're in your house 40 hour. Okay. You're in your house all day. You never go out. You need to get out and do some, social type behaviors and stuff like that. And so you're like, you want to help them. And we're going to talk, that's part of this thing. But there are negative behaviors, negative boundaries that really people are using the word boundary to describe something that they just want. It's not really something that's behavior related. And, but then there are real boundaries that people have. And because now all of a sudden that person's boundary is stepping into your life and how you are responding to life, you may find yourself not willing to respect that boundary, even though you would want that person to respect yours. So one of the quotes I came across, which I was really interested in, came from Marshall Rosenberg. Marshall said, "We are dangerous when we are not conscious of our own responsibility for how we behave, how we think, and how we feel." Okay, a lot of times as humans, okay, I'll be honest, gang, we are very selfish people. Even those of us who are codependent, we're doing it from a selfish point of view, yeah? When you're codependent and trying to help other people out and stuff like that, you're doing that to, in the end, make yourself feel better and more worthwhile. And also, in the end, we are that way. But it can become very dangerous. That's where we start off as children. Everything, our whole world revolves around our little sphere around ourselves. And as we get older, we start to understand how all our spheres connect. It's kind of like those diagrams you see with 3 different circles. Okay, and start saying you've got 3 different circles, or in this case, 4 different circles, and they start coming together closer and they start overlapping at some point. Okay, that's how our own boundaries, physical boundaries work. Emotional boundaries work just the same. As we come together, there starts to be a connection between the two. And we have to be willing to look at our part in that. It's not always the other side of things. A lot of times our own emotions get in the way. Okay, we start to see things from our point of view, not from the other person's point of view. And that's where it can become very dangerous, is because we allow it to color our own preconception of what is going on. So what I wanted to do was talk about some ways that we can we can recognize that we are or are not respecting boundaries when they go in the other direction. Okay, and it's something that we can do to fix it. Okay, in some of these cases, these are things that if we start acting on these behaviors, we may find ourselves able to fix issues. Okay, some of them might help us make new boundaries of our own. The first one is communicate. So when you start having a problem where you have a friend, coworker, family member that the two of you, okay, they're setting a boundary in place and they're like, this is the way that we need to be. This is how I'm expecting life to be. And you're like, no, I don't like it. Start the communication. And it's got to be open. Talk to them. Okay, try to understand where they're coming from. Okay, a lot of times seeking to understand where they're coming from will help, because we are seeing how other people, for example, if my mom sets a new boundary with me, okay, and she decides, okay, moving on from now on, this is how we're going to approach, okay, this issue, okay, cleaning the house, okay, if I go to her with my preconceptions and with my ideas, I am not going to understand where she's coming from. Okay, there comes this little thing where we both have to understand what the other side is working with. And you know, JP, this is something a lot of us, I've run into this quite often myself recently, in the past. lost some of my best friends a couple of years ago. I had a great friend, and a lot of it was what was so funny. I found in this case, I was actually at fault in the case that I'm talking about. I introduced this person to boundaries. And when they started creating their boundaries, I wasn't at the place yet where I knew how to be respectful of that boundary. And looking back, I did not realize it at the time, but I've been thinking about it the last couple of days as I've been kind of looking at subjects for today that were, I knew I was going to need something I could get through fairly short. And for today, just in case I wasn't feeling good. And I was like, yeah. So how could I have changed that? How could I have been different about that? So communication is truly very key to the whole thing, because we all come from just our view of the world. The only view of the world that we know is 100% right is how we feel inside. Okay. No one else truly understands where our heart is. Okay, they can say they do, but they don't. No one truly, right now, none of you out there can truly say that they know what's going on in my head. The same way I could not say that about any of you. I can hazard a guess, but chances are I'm going to be wrong. At times, it's going to happen because all of us, when we start doing logic puzzles and stuff, even think about when we do logic puzzles, if you've done those little boxes with logic puzzles, if you make the wrong guess on some of those things, it's going to throw off the rest of everything. So having that chance to communicate, as mentioned here, becomes key, because what you need to do is be able to gather as much information as possible about why that person is feeling the way they are, why that person has set a boundary that may make zero sense to you, but it makes sense to them. And it's talking to them. Now, you do run into the problem. Some people, in fact, as I was researching this was one of the things that popped up. People were saying, well, what do you do with, you have someone who's not willing to talk to you about their boundaries and the reason behind that? Well, yeah, communication does require two people. It does require two people, and people need to figure out exactly, depending on that individual relationship. Do you give them a couple days? Do you just explain to them what's going on? Do you leave it as if, okay, I understand something's going on, but in the end, this is how I feel. Maybe we could get back in a couple days or something and you can figure out. But in the end, both sides have boundaries that they need to figure out and talk about, especially when the boundaries don't mesh at all. So talking to people is definitely. Then also accept that person. Okay, and exactly, Emma, exactly. I wish I could highlight that right now without going back and forth between things. That might be a person's boundary. I don't have to talk about it. And that is actually fair. Okay, no one says you have to talk about your boundaries. Now, one of the first things people will say is if you expect someone to follow your boundaries, if they're considered a friend or something, is communicating, explaining. When you go through creating boundaries and everything, there is a thing about explaining what your boundary is, so the other person has a chance to come back and explain it. Now, the problem is if the other person isn't willing to listen or something like that, then they have to start making decisions. That's why people will say, oh yeah, but this is the way it worked with my friend when we talked about issues involving boundaries. Well, every relationship is different. Every friendship is different. Okay. So you run into those things and have to address each one individually. As long as you feel in your heart that you've done the best thing that you can to get through it, that's what matters. And that's all you can do with them. So learning to accept someone's boundary. So say my mom comes up to me with a boundary that I just don't agree with. And it's happened many, many times. Okay, moms have these things. Okay, moms are moms, you know. Okay. She has many, many, many times set rules. I'll use the word rules, but they are boundaries, what her boundaries are, how she wants me to react with her, let her know when I get home, whatever it is. I'm like, I'm 51 years old. What do you mean I need to wake you up when I get home? What? And it makes no sense to me. And however, it is a boundary of hers. Okay, that, hey, you know what? If we've got this relationship and she wants me to do this, okay, count it as a rule, count it as a boundary. It's something that means something to her. So learning to accept that boundary is one of the key things. Okay, you may not agree with it. And that's the thing. A lot of times, all of us think we have to respect something about someone else, we have to agree with them about it. I think that's one reason why we have so many problems here on YouTube. We always feel like we have to agree with each other for everything to be okay. We can't just accept to not agree on something. So in a case like this with my mom, I have to come to the point where I have to agree to not agree with them, but in the same thing, I have to understand this is something that means a lot to her. Is it going to truly cause me issues to have to go and let her know when I come in at 2 or 3 in the night? It wakes her up at 4 in the morning when I walk in at 4. Okay, after a night of game playing or something like that. But that's her choice. Okay, it does not cost me much extra to go from the front door all the way down to her bedroom and say hi and then come back up. Doesn't do anything. It doesn't hurt me to do that. But it's not something I agree with or anything, but I have to be willing for that. Hello, Sleuth. How you doing? I'm trying out your crisp, by the way, until I run out of minutes. Put it that way. And also, trying to follow what's also going on in church and at church. Oh my God, in chat. Oh my God, my mind's all over. And so, yeah, this is something I think all of us have dealt with someone that has had boundaries that either we were not respecting theirs or they were not respecting ours. And it does go both ways. The next thing important in here is respecting the other person is responsible for their life. Okay. This becomes very hard for parents and very hard for people who are codependent. Okay. And I think a lot of people, this is like church, dear lady. There you go, girl. And sorry, my dear. Hey, Susan. Hey there, Susan. When you are codependent, okay, the reminder with codependence is you tend to get involved in other people's lives and give them suggestions and give them all sorts of things, okay? And yet, when it comes down to it, you're doing it for the reason of making yourself feel better. That's the whole thing behind codependency. Okay, their codependents are usually people who need to feel like their thoughts matter, that they are helpful to other people and things like that, and they go taking this step. So in the same way that it would be hard for a parent, okay, to respect their child. Maybe they have a child who has told them, okay, you know what? I am taking this job, or I'm going to start going out with this one person. I have decided this person is who I want to start dating. And the parents or a codependent person or something might be like, oh, no, that's not the right person for you. Okay. And they're going to sit there and push and push and push for who knows what the reason is, but they're going to keep pushing because there is something in them that says, no, this is not right for you. This is not right for you. Now, we're in the middle of, DV Awareness Month. Yeah, I'm not saying if a parent is seeing a potential of DV going on in a relationship, yeah, they're going to want to stick in there. Okay. But if it's just this little feeling like, you know what, you could do better, or, oh, no, I just don't like this, or whatever. It's just, that thing. I think all of us probably had a parent or a sibling who had problems with us going out with someone else. And so, hello, Vivaci's family vlog. Welcome, welcome. And it's important for people when a boundary is set, when a person says, this is what my boundary is. Okay, I am going to move in with this guy. I am going to get married to this girl. Whatever it is, that's my boundary now. And you can say whatever you want. This is the way I'm going to move on. And it's important for the other person to be able to recognize, you know what? They're responsible. Susan, am I talking about you now? See, ain't it fun? And also, the person needs to realize that love and stuff like that, especially from a parent or a child. I do this with my mom a lot. My brother does it with my mom a lot now. As she's getting older, we want to kind of overprotect at times. And she might want to go out with a friend. I'm trying to get her to go out socially and do stuff. Okay, or travel or stuff. And it's okay for her to be in charge of her own life. Okay, they are responsible for their own life. When a person is over a certain age, they're responsible for their own life. If they fail, if they succeed, it's on them. So recognizing the difference between offering advice and pushing your advice. Okay, that's where the question comes. So sitting back, if you're finding yourself in that position where you're trying to make a decision on, okay, am I allowing this person to have their own boundaries, things like that? Okay, am I just giving them advice? Hey, no problem, Miss Elizabeth. Oh, are you being codependent with your little kitty cat? Hey, I can't even do this without giving food to my dog. Yeah, exactly. I've gone through like 4 of these already. So, but yeah, no, recognizing and just saying to yourself, okay, why am I offering advice to them? Or am I pushing my advice as the only way? That's where a lot of the times you watch them for the dogs. Hey, once I become monetized, we'll have to have dog emojis. That's what we'll have to have. Yeah, I wish you guys could see the way they're looking at me right now. And also, so are you offering advice or are you pushing your advice? Because that's when we cross that line. Okay, do you get anxious about the decision the other person is making and continue to push your own view? Okay, if you put it that way. Okay, as you're going in there and you're making these suggestions, you're not comfortable with what the person is telling you is their boundary, and you keep trying to say, yeah, but this. Oh, yeah, but this. Okay, ask yourself, are you anxious about what their decision is? And you're just continuing to push because of that anxiety. Because in the end, the person's responsible for their life. We have to allow them to succeed or fail on their own. Okay, no one else can succeed or fail for someone else. Because sooner or later, they have to do that. They have to make those decisions for themselves. And hello, Sherry, and hello, Sleuth Mom. Oh, I said hi. Oh, that's why. JP, I know we are passionate, but a little careful. You got butt kicking. No, yes, we don't want to go butt kicking people, do we? Just dogs. No. And I love my little puppers. And also, don't I? Yes. So looking at yourself with that. And sometimes it's also looking and understanding where you're coming from, because that's where 9 times out of 10, again, both sides are seeing what is going on from their way of thinking, okay, and how they mean what is being said and given as suggestions or things like that. Let's see. Next, don't push them to change the boundary. That makes sense, doesn't it? We wouldn't want anyone else. I put on the thumbnail here, okay, do unto others, because of the golden rule, do unto others the way you'd want them to do to you, okay? It's what it comes down to. Would we want someone, if a boundary meant something to us, would we want other, hello, Amber, I love you. Love you, my dear. Hope you're doing good. We would not want others to keep pushing us to change that boundary. Okay. If we felt deep in our heart that that boundary mattered, we would not be pushing and pushing. We need to recognize that for ourselves. Okay. We should not keep pushing people, hoping they're going to change, hoping that we can get them to make those changes, just because that's what we would feel more comfortable with. So recognizing there is a difference between supporting a person and crossing the line. Okay, what do I mean by that? Pushing someone. Okay, I am a massive introvert. Okay, I had a friend back early 2012 who moved back. Before that, I never went out on the weekends. I was the biggest homebody in the world. I knew I should be going out. I would talk to my therapist and she'd be telling me, you know, you need to be going out. You need to create a circle of friends and stuff like that. But I kept pushing it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I could have easily said, oh, my boundary, that's my boundary. But that wasn't a healthy boundary to have. But I could not push myself to do it. So when my friend moved back to the islands and started trying to push me to go walking with them, okay, go once, twice, 3 times a week to go walking around the neighborhood, go see some shows, things like that, they had to push me 5 or 6 times before I actually went. They kept having to say, hey, but come on, let's go this weekend. Hey, you know, I asked you last week. Okay, and things like that. So it was this supportive push. Every time we would talk, there was this supportive push to get me to do something that they knew would be best for me. But they also knew there was such a thing as crossing a line. Okay, they would not push me to a certain point. When they saw me get to a certain point and say, no, I can't do it this weekend, you would hear the difference in the voice. Or just keep coming out with these things and all that. They knew they were crossing that line. Okay, they were trying to now push beyond that. Okay, and they would stop. Not forever. They'd come back to it later. But they realized at that time, I was not ready to do that. I was not ready to hang out with people and become social yet. They knew it was going to take a little bit. My boundaries my whole life had been on this staying within my own personal circle, and that's it. Personal circle being just where I was, okay, and that was all. So recognizing that difference between being a support for the friend and pushing and crossing a line because that's what you want. Okay. He could have very easily during that time said, yeah, but I want to go see this movie this weekend. So come on, you got to go. No, I don't want to go. No, you've got to go. I'm not going to stop until you go. Okay. That's what I'm talking about with that. Firm boundaries should not be crossed, gang. Okay, we talk about certain things in life that we should not be doing. Okay, hurting other people physically, emotionally, things like that. Boundaries. When a person has a firm boundary, whether we understand it or not, that's their boundary and it matters to them. Okay, that's where it becomes important to go back to asking the questions. Why? Why is this boundary important to you? You may actually find out a reason why it matters. And you might find out that if it is something that can be worked around, maybe you change in a different way because maybe it isn't a healthy boundary, but the person doesn't realize it at the time. But it's only in understanding where that person's coming from that you can help with that. Okay, Emma, if a person is uncooperative all the time, though, they are not a good friend or family. Exactly. And that's where having that friendship, having that ability to talk with them is important, because a true friend will understand that their friend's emotions matter. They may not agree with or understand their emotions, but their emotions matter. Okay, they will ask them. They will want to understand their friend because they want to understand their friend. The more you understand about a friend, the more you're able to truly help be there for them when they need you. Amber, even if you don't find out it's their boundary, you respect it. And if you don't, then you're agreeing to the consequence. Exactly. You cross that boundary, you keep crossing that boundary, that person's going to respond somehow. If you push that boundary and you cross that boundary, at some point, you may lose that friendship. Okay, at some point, that person might actually decide, okay, I can't be around you for a while because you keep trying to push me in a direction I'm not ready for, or I'm not willing to go that direction. And that's something, whether you agree with that boundary to begin with or not, does not matter. It is their boundary. And you need to respect that boundary. And so those were some of those things. But one of the things I did want to, because I knew this was going to be a shorter, with how I've been feeling the last couple days, I wanted to keep it fairly short. But you guys know I always try to give one thing that you can kind of go forward and try to put into your life and everything. One of the things that a couple people have mentioned to me lately is, sometimes I feel weird. I feel mad, or I'm upset, or I can't understand why other people are thinking these ways, and nothing in life makes sense. And I can't understand why I'm feeling this way. Okay, what's going on? Because I can't understand where any of this is coming from. So there is a thought process out there that I found pretty helpful in these cases, because there are times for me that all of a sudden I'll be sitting around and I'll start getting upset, and everything someone says, I get angry at. It doesn't matter whether I should be angry at it or not. I'm just angry at it. Okay. Or other times that I'm sad and I don't understand what's going on. And a lot of this, especially as you're working on issues and everything, it happens a lot more often for some reason, because we're starting to get in tune with our emotions. And so the process I wanted to discuss is, okay, you can break it down. I love acronyms. People from healthcare love acronyms. Okay, HALTD, HALTD. Okay, so each of these letters is acronym going to stand for something. So the first one, these are things to ask yourself. Okay, when you're feeling that way and you're just trying to figure out why you're feeling out of sorts, why you're feeling off, that you can look at. Okay, first one, H, hungry. Okay, all of us, okay, put a 1 in chat if you're one of those people who get hangry. 2 if you don't get hangry. I used to actually not get hangry. Believe it or not, I used to not get hangry. That's why I say there could be some 2s out there. Okay, people that just don't get mad when they're hungry. Okay, now I do. Now I can get very short. Now, usually I only get short-tempered around the people that I know very quickly. Emma Louie, this was something new to me. I only came across it, one time on one video a while back, and I wrote it in my notes, and it's been helpful since. And also, there you go. There are the ones. There is a 2, Grandma. You're like, okay, bingo. When we are hungry, okay, our body is being played with a bunch of different chemicals, things like that. Okay, Phoenix is the same thing. Not often, once a month. Okay, yeah, and see, that's more like me. I don't do it too often there. But if I look carefully, I start to realize that while I may not get hangry, I get other types of emotions when I'm hungry. Okay. I don't get angry, but I get very short focus, things like that. And that short focus starts setting off a lot of emotions. Blood sugar issues. Yes. And I think that's a big issue with me and that I get into. So when you start feeling you're out of sorts, something is not normal for you, that your body is just not acting normal. Ask yourself, are you hungry? Okay. Do you think maybe eating, something real quick might actually make a difference? Because for some people, that's all it is. Because once you get angry, it changes the way you see everything. Okay. You may not even realize you're mad. Okay. Until you think about it. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, that explains why I was so short at work earlier today. And then when I got home and the kids didn't have their homework, I bit their head off and everything starts making more sense then. Okay. And that goes into the next. Angry. Okay. A, being angry. Okay. Maybe you're not hungry. Maybe you're just angry. Maybe something in you, is pissed off. Okay, maybe it's something you know about. Maybe it's a specific event that you need to go through in your head. But if all of a sudden you're asking yourself, well, okay, I'm going through the letters and yes, I'm angry. I'm angry at something, but I don't know what it is. Because I don't know about you. I've done that before. All of a sudden I sit there and I'm like, I think I'm upset at something. Because you get that different feel. I've never felt anger. That was one of the things until more or less recently, I would not get really angry. And so I've had to start understanding what anger was. And so I'd look at it and I'm like, what's causing this? So I'd have to try to, because it's not enough for you just to sit and say, yeah, I'm angry. Okay, now everything's fine. No, what's causing that? What is it? Is there something that got triggered for you at that moment that led to the anger? Okay, maybe you were just in the car. Nothing really happened in the car, but all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, yeah, traffic was pretty bad and so cut me off and all that. And you can start figuring out, why you were so out of sorts as you got home. All of a sudden these things start to connect up. And next, L, lonely. Now, lonely. One of the things I'm going to address with lonely, we here in this group, we love our online communities. We love our friends here and I don't care what people say. The friends that I have online are real friends. They're people I care about. They're people, Robbie had this happen yesterday. One of his community members, one of our members over there, passed away suddenly. And I was talking to him and I mentioned how I've actually got plans, and I know many of you guys in this community have these things in place, that if something were ever to happen to me, that my mom has a list of people she's supposed to contact, because this is a family here. These are real friends here. And I don't want to ever have anything happen and no one ever know. And or I think I was upset with them or things like that. I'd want them to know, like any group of friends. And, but saying that, there is a huge difference between in real life friends and friends around people. Okay. We as humans are hardwired for social connection. Okay. It's one of the main reasons why we had such a huge issue during COVID. Because during COVID, we had all the YouTube in the world, all the Facebook in the world we could need. But it wasn't enough for a lot of people. Okay, for some people it was. But at some point, all of us needed to pull aside and have people, when we had that first hug, that first time you went to something in person and you got a real hug for the first time, you were like, oh my God, I miss this. I didn't realize how much I missed this, but I miss this. And so when I talk about lonely, it's not about just having online friends to talk with. It's about having people you can hang out with, people that really get you, you get them. There's that other thing. So thinking about it, okay, when you're out of sorts and all, are you starting to notice that perhaps you're feeling feelings like you need to be around people again? Okay, that's one reason why during COVID, a lot of us were out of sorts during COVID. We were lonely. We needed to be around people and we were not able to be around people. And so I'd love to know if anyone could hear a dog barking right now, because there's actually someone. And exactly, Amber, my absolute closest friends are some of the closest, okay, are the ones here online. Hands down, agree. I'm more open and honest with many of the people I've met online than anyone else. But there's something to physical touch that I think sometimes we do miss also. And those are the things that we need to have. And that was some of the stuff that you hear a dog, but I'm sure it will go away. So I'm trying to figure out whether or not this program works or not for that. So next is T, and T is tired. Okay. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of evidence starting to come in, not very loudly. Thank you, Sleuth Mom. And a lot of studies and all into sleep. And it's starting to come across that when a person is over fatigued, when they're really tired, okay, and they're not getting the sleep that they need, okay, they start having symptoms that very closely equate to depression. Okay, you get a lot of the same symptoms that happen. So if a person starts getting, if they are tired and just get that extra sleep that they need, then they might feel themselves coming out on that other end where they're not feeling so out of sorts, that they're able to deal with the thing. And the reason why I'm bringing up a lot of these things is so that when you are trying to, for example, deal with someone else's boundaries that you don't understand, okay, if you're in any of these other areas, it's going to make it harder for you to understand where the other person is coming from. And, but if you are dealing with all these things and you're like, okay, yeah, no, I'm right now feeling very, very tired and I get the rest, you might find yourself more able to deal with why everything. Think about it if you have kids. Okay, when you're really tired, it takes every bit of energy to deal with everything they're going to throw at you. Okay, you get a rest and things are different. They change. And so it's along that idea. It's not saying sleep causes depression, but it causes many of the same symptoms as depression. And so there you go. Sleuth Mom, this is my issue. I go through periods. I do not sleep for sometimes a week or two. Oh, so that's when you're online all the time, girl. No. And then I get sluggish and testy. Bingo. And that's why this thing, as simple as it sounds, made sense to me, because a lot of times I just know I don't feel right. Hey, AJ. Hey, AJ. Hope you're doing good, my dear. And and it's a good thing within all those things. Wait, let me see. Where am I? Okay, there we go. Last, D, disappointed. Okay, so this is a good one, especially fitting in with this whole thing about boundaries of other people. A lot of times when I'm dealing with someone else's boundaries that I don't agree with or something like that, okay, if I go back in my head, I realize there's something in that is triggering something else. Okay, it could be a feeling of rejection, a feeling of failure. And if I know that's what's going on in my own head, then I can move forward and try to start dealing with things. So if, for example, let's go back to the thing where my mom wants me to wake her up when I get home. Her boundary, okay, that nope, I can't just go to bed or anything. I got to go do something like that. if I'm really upset and stuff like that, and if I'm going through my head, okay, I might actually be equating that right then to, well, she doesn't trust me anymore. Okay. Yeah, she's having to do this. Amber, I'm hoping I can do Cantina tonight. As long as I stay away from having a fever, I will do it. I'm starting to feel my body kind of, go this direction, whatever that word is. And so we'll see how it goes. I am hoping I do, even if I can only go an hour. I'm going to try to do something tonight. So love you, my dear. So looking at that, what is it that is causing some of the issues for you and that boundary? Okay. You've talked to the person and the person has told you, no, this boundary is important to me because of this, 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 and this. Okay. Being able to understand that that is something important to them and it has nothing to do with you, maybe. Okay. It may not have anything to do. In my case, okay, going back to mom want me to wake her up when I get home at 3 or 4 in the morning. It has nothing to do with her not trusting me. It's actually more tied to the fact that she had some scary things happen to her when she was in her 20s, and she's never going to feel comfortable about her little girl being out late at night, not coming home and saying hi and letting her know she's okay. So that's when it became this thing in my head where I'm like, okay, I may not agree with this, but I care about the person. And is it really, it's her boundary. And none of my boundaries are 180 degrees head to head against that. Okay, that would be the biggest time when you have those things. Thank you, Amber. So, and you guys are going to have, I'm watching the JP is going to have a fun night, I can tell. And so those things going through, figuring out if you're disappointed in things, because when we're disappointed, when we're living something in our life where we're down, we maybe feel like we have failed at something, that there's something wrong with us or something like that. It changes our ability in dealing with other people. It changes our ability to understand stuff. We will much more often personalize everything. And it is like, okay, in fact, I keep looking for Rosalind in here because she'd be telling me, okay, go back to those things. Okay. Okay. Not always assuming everything is about someone, yourself, that people are pointing the finger at you. A lot of times when a person is setting their own boundaries, those are boundaries they need for themselves. It's not something against you, but it's hard to see, especially when we are ourselves dealing with something like disappointment at that time. And that's something that was a big thing because I fought my mom for, I don't know how long about the waking up. Okay. I thought it was stupid that I had to do that, but I was like, you know what? I can understand why she wants to do that. So that might help you guys, not just on boundaries, but it gives you, okay, just a couple things to look at when you have feelings that something is off in your body. You know, you're not your normal self. Okay, all of us are starting to know our bodies as we're dealing with our own journey and understanding things. We're starting to understand what makes us tick when we're not our normal self. It's like a person who's diabetic who starts understanding how their body feels when their blood sugars are at different levels. You start to really understand your body and what's going on. So if you can go through and try to figure out, okay, I'm off right now, what's going on? Oh, I think it might have something to do with the fact I'm exhausted. I haven't really slept for more than two hours in the last day or 2 days or something. Then you find yourself able to push forward. So I hope that helps out a little bit there. I'm just sorry. I'm trying to check. I'm not doing the best on checking chat today, am I? And really, in fact, he's really well. Okay, got it. I'm just trying to see. Okay, so let me go on to the next before we start slowing down on everything. And I'll take away for today. Do we have any takeaways people want to share? I actually have someone trying to get my attention. Pia, you never get to say hi to everyone. Pia never says hi because Pia's my good girl. Yeah, Pia's the good girl. So you can come sit with me for a few minutes. So yeah, you want to sit with me? This is Mama. And also, hey, don't get caught with kids. And now he's going to try to take over what? Okay, now there's one. JP, I love you. Uh, there are elements. Okay, got it. Yeah, it's Pia. Say hi, everyone. Say hi. So, as I said, I am going to try. My internet is, how dare it go low? Connection's fairly good. Okay, fairly good we'll deal with. I'll deal with fairly good. And support versus forcing you. That is a big, especially for those of us who are codependent or have parts of us that are codependent. Some of us are not as codependent as we used to be, but we still can be codependent. And it's important to be able to realize those differences. Hey, hi, Pia. Oh, yeah, Pia's been good today. It's Cassie who's not. This one is Pia, Cristola. This is how Pia, named after the amazing coconut dessert. That's like coconut pudding, I guess, is what we'd say. Yeah, hard to show your face, huh? You don't want to show your face? She's the real good girl. She's such a good girl. So, yeah, you're going to give me kisses. Uh-huh. So she's like, okay, I'm amazed the others aren't barking. They're scratching my legs, though. So, and also, anyhow, Cantina. I am going to try to do Cantina at the top of the hour. Like I mentioned to Amber, not sure how long it'll last tonight. I'd like to do my normal time, but it depends on if I start fading out pretty quickly. I'm starting to get that way right now. So, but I do want to hang out and talk because I miss talking. Puppy bomb. Okay. So anyhow, I will post all that. And then we can talk and hang out. Even if it's just an hour, we can talk for a while and figure out what people are going to be doing for Halloween. I need to figure out costumes. I still want to figure out how much are people paying for a freaking pumpkin, because I can't believe they're charging $18.99 out here for a freaking medium-sized pumpkin. I have a problem with that. And it was food, sleep, anger. Oh, no problem. Okay, what are those? That's a good question. Thank you. Okay. H is hungry. So are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired? Or are you disappointed? So those are the ones that I honestly came in and I saw that a couple of years ago, I think it was, and I wrote it down in my phone. And once in a while, all of a sudden I get the feeling something's off and I can't figure out what it is. So I just go through that. And I'd say 90% of the time I can figure it out real quickly, what's setting me off. So yeah. So let me know about those. I will actually go and try to put those down in the comments also later on today. So let me see. You're on a minimal budget, which means you won't buy a pumpkin this year. I don't blame you. It's especially when they're costing that much, even though I did just see someone else said they did not pay nearly. Girl, they were $5 today at Mark's on the main list. See, AJ, $18.99 for one. Now, I haven't gone to our grocery store, so it's very possible it's not as expensive. And also, yeah, there you go. You got to share. Sherry's awesome, girl. She's awesome. So, and that could be. It's also Hawaii sucks royally when it comes to it because they know they can charge these costs, but I need to go look around. I'm not sure if it's just because it's early, maybe, or because it was CVS/Longs rather than the grocery store where it's usually cheaper. So anyhow, and I will talk to y'all in a few minutes. Well, 1 hour. I'm going to go grab myself something to drink real quickly because I'm getting hot, and I will talk to y'all later. I don't think I need a coat. No, that one's old. Who else hates old sodas? Ugh, I can't stand old soda. So anyhow, I'll post and I'll see you guys later. Aloha. Goodbye. See you in an hour. Bye-bye.